Well, he does everything.
They probably like see that.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm just squeezing on there.
Minding your own business. I'm on five of those kids.
Yeah.
Crying, picking monster to get a hot dog.
Oh,
That's pretty good.
Yeah. But for quick sport.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, but.
That makes sense.
Usually price them, like.
Small cat.
All right, I have a first and a second to come out of closed session. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we are now back in open session. For the record, the motion was made at 6:48 by Dustin, seconded by Aaron. All right, our next item is the approval of the agenda. I have no changes to the agenda, so the motion is that the Board of Education approves the agenda as presented.
So moved.
First and second, any discussion?
I would, in terms of item H, on the third page, on the contractor with Dewan Schaefer, I'd like to have Dwayne Schaefer.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I don't know who Dewan is.
Good catch, good catch.
All right, so we will change item H. We'll amend the agenda to read: the motion is the Board of Education approves the contract with Dwayne Schaefer
Thank you for looking out for me.
to serve as District Technology Director as presented. So do I have a motion to approve the amended agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, our agenda for the evening is set. Moving on to consent agenda, do I have a motion to approve the district bills as of June 20th, 2022, the building activity reports, as well as the non-certified personnel recommendations?
So moved.
Second.
First and a second, any discussion?
I'm gonna just have a couple of things that I need to just ask Kyla. She's not here, so they're just minor things, but I'll just let you know what I'm gonna talk to her about real quick. The bills for water look more uniform than I've ever seen them, which is kind of interesting. But electric, I wonder if that, it's on the second page. I wonder if that's for 2 months? Is it? Okay. That's the only question I had there. And then,
That's a lot of threes.
yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, that's the only two
When
things.
we have an early meeting like we did
Yeah,
in.
sometimes
May,
that happens.
It takes, we don't.
I thought it was, but I just wanted to make sure that we weren't. Okay.
Any other questions or comments about the consent agenda? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we do have one person signed up for public comments, Mrs. Durkee. If you would let us know who you are and what you're talking about. The floor is yours.
Okay, my name's Jella Ricky. I'm a parent, 3 kids in Morrison. So I'm here, I guess I have been an advocate, without your permission, for the school at the city council meetings for the sport complex. Been very passionate about it and trying to advocate that they need to do something about it for the school, for our players, for our kids, and even without the kids, for our youth in general. I felt like we were pretty successful last Monday night of them doing something, but I'm happy to see that you guys have on your agenda. I realize that their meetings and your guys' meetings are offset, but hopefully tonight you guys can come up with a plan to bring back to them, because they're kind of waiting for you on some things, in my opinion, as I listen to them. So yes, I've been an advocate for the school that they need to do things, and also that the school should not be on the hook for not doing proper preventative maintenance, that should not be the school's fault, that, if they want to get it to a certain level, that they should do that on their own, because you guys are not in a formal agreement, no lease contract, anything like that. So hopefully you guys can come to the table and come back to them and we can get this ball rolling, so.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
And we will be discussing it. Hopefully you'll stay with that.
Yes.
Good news from another district. Anything you guys want to add? Mr. Harridge, you want to start with you?
I just, we are now in the second half of summer school, and I think it's been really good for kids. We've had good attendance. I think it's,
How many are in?
it's
Roughly.
pretty spotty with different vacations, things like that. I know last Friday we had 31 at Northside alone.
Mr. Robbins?
I put a lot in there about our 8th grade and our 7th grade boys track. I am just currently working, we can get 3 state championship signs put up on the highways. I am working on those. One will be for Brady Anderson for the 200, Brandon Alvarado for the long jump, and our 4x4 relay team. But then I've also, we had quite a few second places, overall second as a team, a 5th place, a 6th place. So we had a lot of, as you saw, a good showing there. So I am going to city council meeting on Monday night next week to discuss getting kind of, you see signs and other towns you go to where they have smaller signs that have the second places and third places and all that. So I talked to Barry Dykhuizen. Apparently there is not necessarily a city code or ordinance for signs or against signs, is what he kind of said. So I'm gonna go to that meeting. I kind of put a proposal into him a little bit, showed him what they look like, the sizes, those types of things. Question is, we put them up on Academic Drive, because we can't put them up on the highways, or would it be easier to put them on the building, on that big brick facade we have kind of in front of the building? So, but again, at least we'll talk with the city council about getting those.
I thought that was IDOT.
The highway is. Yep, IDOT will be the highway, but, and they'll only do 3 a year. So if we put those 3 up, and let's say we have a state champion in wrestling, their sign wouldn't be able to go up until a year after, well, a year from the date the track ones go up.
Why can't you put them all on one side?
Yeah.
What's that?
Why can't you put them all on one side?
Because the signs have to be a certain size and they have to have 4-inch letters. The state has all sorts of, so you can't, like the relay teams, I won't be able to put their names on the state one. It'll just say 4x4.
Here's my concern is if you do it for these guys, you gotta do it for everybody. And you're gonna get people coming from way back when saying, where's our sign?
Well, the state used to do,
I'm talking about the other, the non-state.
Second, third.
I understand the state has their rules.
Yeah, the state does, yeah. Mhm. So, well, listen, I'm just talking with them just to see about.
See what they say. Thanks, Joe. That's, you go above and beyond for kids. I appreciate that. I think everyone does.
High school, summer school is also going, about 20 students that started off, additional 14 in the driver's ed summer school, different little program there. Pierce got the bleacher project, football stadium bleachers seems to be going smoothly. So hopefully we have that ready for the fall. And just one item I kind of wanted to acknowledge, Andy Austin, he's an MHS class of 77. He stopped by, said he had a picture for he'd like to put into the Hall of Fame or something of the 1915 football team. Such when he stopped by to deliver it, it exceeded my expectations. It was framed, matted, very nicely done, put together and such. His grandfather Clarence was a member of that team. I shared the story kind of and such. Had a picture of it, but like I said, it was like I said, well above and beyond what I expected when I took the phone call and so forth. So looking to find a nice place for that so you can see that.
Why don't you take a picture of that and put it on the Facebook page? Or post it to social media.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. And that's exactly, I wanted to acknowledge Mr. Austin and such for thinking of us and so forth on that. So.
In regards to the football stadium project? Is everything going well on time, on budget? Is there any issues?
So I think I need to clarify, the bleachers will not be done. They'll, will not get the replacement bleachers in time, so that will be completed after, but everything else should be done before that. So we're gonna go one more year, is my understanding, with the fiberglass bleachers, but after that, it should be done.
Is that going to be a cost impact to the district?
So the wall and the track,
The wall, the track, the new railing, all of that will be done. The replacing of the fiberglass bleachers, I don't know about the handrails yet. I can double check on that. But as far as I have been told, the only delay, and it's a delay in acquiring the materials, is the replacing the fiberglass bleachers with the new aluminum ones. But yes, everything else is on schedule, as Mr. Beal mentioned. Finance and facility, I was gonna talk about the track project, the stadium project. We are still working on the HVAC and air conditioning at junior high and north side. We are more than likely gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do temporarily for that, because as with everything, supply is very limited. And the engineer was out 2 weeks ago to walk through that building again to do a final look at everything.
so we don't have a bid yet.
No.
So we're gonna have to figure out how to
How to
keep
heat,
those kids,
how to heat 3 rooms at the junior high, and air condition those 3 rooms. Plus anything else that fails from now until then.
well, I worried about the heat last year, right?
We have 3 rooms that the radiators crapped out, and I'm sorry for being so flippant. They took out the heating coils, so we're gonna have to find something to do. And we have made our architect aware of that, but I will put another bug in the ear that
Yeah.
it's obvious nothing's happening this year. What do you suggest for, you can't have rooms without heat?
No.
Hasn't he had the thing for a while? I mean,
Yes, he has.
architect.
Mhm.
We got rid of our old ones because of this fucking stuff. This guy's been pretty good.
This is my biggest complaint, is he does not, there's really no sense of urgency. He's pretty good, he's very good with the design, he's really good with estimates for cost. But when it comes to getting things done in a timely manner, and I don't know if it's because of his work schedule or what, but.
It just puts us a year behind.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, enrollment. Where's my paper, sorry. Enrollment, we finished the year at 974. It's 2 above net last year, but 3 down from where we were last month.
Well, usually May
Yes.
is a bigger dive than that.
People
We normally lose more in May than that.
So, I would envision we will probably top 1,000 in the next year or so, and then go back down. So, food for thought. Mr. Schaefer, did you want to update us on anything technology related?
Yeah, just, summer projects are well underway. We've been working on cabling despite some unexpected absences on my part, but things are working, getting done. Plugging away, doing our normal stuff, and big projects are moving through just fine, so everything's going well. Knock on wood.
Cabling that you're talking about is that project that you were doing the cabling for.
Yeah,
And then they're gonna cut for the high school clock and all that kind of
Yep.
stuff. Okay.
yeah, it's apparent that I don't do cabling for a living because,
Okay.
severely underestimating the amount we need, but I had to order a few more boxes here and there, but, I think we're good for
Yeah,
now.
I think they came in the day I stopped to
Yeah,
see the guys.
yeah, we're gonna pick back up on it tomorrow.
All right, old business, high school computer lab. This is an action item. The motion is that the Board of Education approves the purchase of, I forgot how many, we getting 29?
We purchased 19, or 20 computers and 19 monitors.
20 computers and 19 monitors for the cost of $38,615 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second, any discussion?
We have everything. Everything came in today. We actually.
And I know we talked about that last time.
And we made some adjustments to it based on board member input. So. All right, hearing no further discussion, Luann, would you please take roll call vote?
Lucky,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Danlock,
Yes.
Witt.
Yep.
Helms,
Yes.
Eagleson,
Yes.
Ridley.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item B, high school bell PA system, action item. The motion is the Board of Education approves the purchase of a new high school bell and PA system for the cost of $98,600.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
We need it badly.
All right, hearing none, Luann, please take roll.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Danlock,
Yes.
Witt.
Yep.
Helms. Yes. Eagleson,
Yes.
Lucky.
Yes.
Ridley.
Yes.
All right, item C, 2022-2023 district calendar. Okay, we have some things. So it was discovered that the November 8th holiday does not pertain to just federal elections. It is a holiday for last year and this year. So we have to by law take off November 8th, which is now this Tuesday. The question that I would like input from the board is Veterans Day is November 11th. We historically have not taken that day off if it's in the middle of the week, but if it's on a Monday or a Friday, we have made that a 3-day week. With having to take off November 8th, plus early dismissal on the 2nd, early dismissal on the 3rd, no school on the 4th, kids will have 4 full days of school in a 10-day period.
Well, haven't we been using Veterans Day as an educational framework on Veterans Affairs and Veterans?
When it falls during the week. When it doesn't fall during the week, when it falls on a Monday or a Friday, we have historically taken up. Now, in discussions with the administrators, they feel as though the programs that were put on last year were well received by the kids. And those that came and did the presentations were accepting of that as recognition for our veterans. With that being said, I think the consensus, or at least from an administrative standpoint, leaving the calendar, or excuse me, rather amending the calendar to now include November 8th as a holiday and the 11th as a day of attendance is where the administration would like to go. From the perspective of the board, are you okay with that, or would you rather us take that off?
Yes.
Yes.
In school.
Okay. So we will amend the calendar next month, and then our new last day of student attendance, because we have to add a day, will be the 24th, not the 23rd. So we will add a day at the end of the year now. So okay. We will amend that then officially next month. All right, item D, potential memo of understanding with the city of Morrison for district use of the Morrison Sports Complex. In your board folder is a tentative draft of what the MOU might look like. And I believe, is city council meeting tonight?
No,
Or is it last week? Okay.
Next one.
Oops, sorry, that's not what I wanted. I just wanted
So you talking about the memorandum of understanding?
Yes.
Okay.
So Barry Dykeisen and I sat down last week and had a very productive discussion about this. And this memo of understanding would encompass both the high school, which is field 5, baseball field, and the high school softball field, which is field 6. So tentatively, the city would be responsible for replacing infield material with ag lime, and they would do that this summer, I guess, or this fall. They would do additional draining tile to the high school baseball field. They would be responsible for mowing the grass, scheduling the appropriate herbicide and pesticide applications, preparing the field for district practices and games. The city will then log the hours spent prepping the field and invoice that cost to us, irrigate the fields, allow the district to use field lights, path lights, parking lot lights, allow the district to use scoreboard, parking lots, and restrooms. The district, on the other hand, would provide ag lime material as needed, beginning in 2023 and for the duration of the use of the field. We would reimburse the city a proportional share of the chemical applications. We would split that 50-50. We would schedule lights as needed. We would take some ownership in determining when playing conditions are suitable, when they must be called due to weather or any other reason. We would maintain the area in an orderly fashion and free of trash, including batting cages, storage areas, and dugouts. This agreement will renew automatically every year unless either party provides a 6-month notice of termination. It would run March 1st to the end of the school season. Anything, we still have to work out insurance, conflict resolutions, that type of language. And then the last thing is any requirements that the IHSA is mandating would be our cost. The example I could give you, and it doesn't pertain to baseball, would be as if the IHSA were to go to a shot clock in basketball and we have to add a shot clock. So let's say they did a pitch count or a pitch clock, we would have to add that. If they determined we had to have, an on-site PA system or something like that, those costs would be ours. I am attempting to get kind of an idea of how they log their hours or what the cost would be, or an average cost. But that's.
So they line the fields, they prepare everything.
They would do that, but we would pay them for that time.
Wow, that's impressive. That's a lot of work.
Any concerns that you would like me to take back to?
Not until I see the dollars and cents.
Exactly.
I mean,
How have we done it before, though? How have we prepped the fields
They've
before?
done it.
But
For free.
we've never had to pay it.
no. Never been asked to. Never come up.
So are we
Since
gonna pay
we're-
less are we gonna pay less to utilize the fields? Since
We've
now we-
never paid anything.
Oh, we've never paid
No.
anything? Well, okay.
We were told we had to play there. They were no longer going to maintain the field up on the hill, and that we had to move down there and play. And they never said a word to us about how much it was gonna cost
I got you. So we.
us,
so how long
or
we-
that
okay,
we should pay anything.
Okay,
So
so
this is,
this is the cost for us, though, is,
right.
This is what the cost will entail. What the actual dollars and cents are, I can't tell you at this point. I will tell you this, it's much cheaper than building
Building
something.
our own.
because I know,
Are they looking for like an annual fee on top of this?
I don't believe so at this point. I'm not saying that's not part of this. I don't know. It's been informally discussed, maybe, but not.
Okay, they
Part of our
never
conversation.
request, said, hey, okay.
what about the concession stands?
They still would retain control of the concession stand.
Would they staff them
Yeah.
and have them open?
I can add that to this.
Because-
Barry's and I conversation just revolved around.
Because I would rather us staff them and then we split the proceeds or something.
Yeah, I mean, as long as there's concession stands available, I don't care who does it, but,
Yeah,
And that certainly could be added.
yeah, I don't care if it's
That's fine.
us or if it's them, but it's something that's one of the items. And then the other thing is the long-term continual upkeep of the fences and dugouts.
You know, one thing that, you know, many places that I've been to before with my kids, when they played
I
for
would
other
too,
districts,
to be clear,
no,
you're right.
the parents would volunteer, they get, you know, so many, you have to volunteer so many times to work in the concession.
Oh, yeah.
That's what, you know, that's just what it was. And to me, it makes good sense that we supply people who work in the concession. They can maintain it or whatever.
That's like what Boosters does for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the boosters.
Boosters aren't gonna do it, I'm just gonna tell you that
No,
right now.
I know, and I'm fine with that, because I think that you should definitely get the parents involved. But I think that's something that we could work out together to offset our cost
Right.
too.
And they're fixing up, because wasn't there issue with it not being playable?
That,
So they're
It's the tiling.
fixing-
that's the tiling and
Okay.
the,
They're doing that.
replacing of the surface, the
Okay.
playing surface.
So
They're
that
gonna
would
take
make
the current expensive,
But they're gonna
nice
fix all
looking,
that, right?
but yes, they're going to fix it. And they're not
That's
asking
great.
us at this point to pay for any of that, but they are asking for us to contribute to the additional ag line, which is the material that the fields will be covered with in the other years. Now, the other thing that's not included in this, but I'm guessing will be, is any capital improvements, something which could go to your point, fence falls down or something like that, that would be a shared cost. I know they've been working with the city of Sterling, who also shares their field with their Sterling High School, and that's part of theirs. I was forwarded an email from their director, Sterling director, and his comment was it happens once every 4 years, or every 6, 7 years, or something to that effect, that there's a capital improvement that needs to be done.
Because my initial concern was, basically that the city was trying to possibly pawn this off on us. Given this memorandum of understanding, though, it looks like that's not exactly what they're doing.
No,
They're,
retaining control over it. But just charging us for the use.
Right,
Yeah, that's nice.
right. I think that makes sense.
I
That's
like
really what it looks like.
Yeah.
So if, we're gonna have to be happy with the finished product before we sign.
Are we gonna get more playing time on the field with the tiling that they're doing? Because I know that's been the problem, right?
Well, that's.
that is
whole
the
idea.
expectation, yes.
Yeah, that's the whole idea.
Okay.
Currently, we practice in the brass part of the high school, at the high school, right? They don't,
And occasionally over on the football field.
yeah, but it's not, we don't have the
It
best.
can't be any worse.
No, it can't. No. No, that's what the hope is.
Oh, I do like the complex. It's really a great place.
Was there anything in there if people volunteered the time to go get fields ready and stuff?
We did have a conversation about that, and if that's the case, so the way that would tentatively work is if we knew someone was gonna go over there, we would notify the city beforehand and say, hey, you guys don't have to get the field ready today, we have people that are gonna do it. And they said, okay, that's fine.
But we'd have access to the equipment to do so.
There would have, part of the understanding would be, that's kind of the, I don't want to say a sticky point, but those are very expensive machines, and we would have to make sure that anyone that was doing that was, one, covered by our insurance, and two, knows what they're
Do
doing.
what they were doing. Not everybody knows.
The actual
how to
lining of
practice
the
field.
field is the easy
But you know,
part.
many other places
Breaking
I've
the
gone,
ground.
it's the coaches that, or the home team that lines the field. You know, it's just always.
Well, and even if we have them drag it, and then if we have volunteers to chalk it, and it still saves us.
Yeah.
Funds.
Yes, it's the hours when
Okay,
it rains the night before.
yes.
And rains heavy, and someone getting out there at 8 AM and turning it over, multiple, when I say turn it over, drag it to get the water
Yes.
off the field, that's the time consuming, and that's the part that we don't have the time or the manpower to do.
And they have manpower, right, that's been doing this?
Well,
It
that's.
depends, yes.
Okay. I mean, I always
No,
see trucks out there,
not-
vehicles, so I
No,
don't,
yeah, but they don't really have.
okay, I didn't know that.
Right. That's the real.
No? Now we're gonna show the cost, that's okay.
They're also gonna fill in the first and third baselines and then some other dirt parts of the field, but they're ease of maintenance,
Okay.
which actually will help.
It'll level things off.
Yeah.
It's,
It'll make it easier to mow and easier to, when you gotta cover the baselines and everything, it's difficult, to keep it from, just being a mess when it rains.
All right, I will make some of the suggestions, and I'll add that, and I'll have continuous conversation with Barry.
Yeah, the concession stand has to be ours. Because the money's, and the concession stand for the other 4 fields, that goes into Morrison baseball, and that's fine, but we're a separate entity over
Not
there.
actually, the concession stands for those other fields. Morrison Baseball doesn't get any of that. They sub that out.
Oh, they cut that out?
Morrison Baseball's never had.
Any of who gets it?
City. That's the only revenue they have coming in for that place.
Okay.
So that might be a,
Well, I mean,
Well,
I'm not opposed to splitting it with them.
Well, they struggle having staffing to run the one concession stand. I don't see them being excited to run the one over at Field 5. That's my take on it.
Okay,
No,
well, definitely I would want some discussion about that concession stand. I mean, whatever they're willing to,
That agreement is for softball and baseball though too.
yes, yes.
it is.
Well, does it say that on there? or-
no, it does.
No,
No,
but it-
they're two separate
It
concessions.
does.
Yes, yes. Oh, there's 2 separate? Oh, I didn't-
Baseball field.
You can tell I don't go there very often.
Is there any stuff in the baseball one?
The-
Like, is there concession, is there like concession stuff in there, like food?
Oh, yeah.
But, in the baseball one?
Yeah.
What was the question, Scott?
Is there, do they use the baseball one, or do you have to walk
I mean,
to the other one?
I know for baseball, see, for football, I mean,
Yeah, there's,
yeah, it's a.
I know for junior tackle it's open.
Yeah.
Did they
Last
open
few
it for
times I've
baseball?
gone out and watched
We-
softball, walked over to baseball.
it used to be,
I don't,
but
no, there's.
I can't speak for the last couple of years, but it always was,
Well,
always was.
All right, item E, or, I'm sorry, anything else for that?
No.
For that discussion? Okay. Item E, Morrison High School Options Program. This is an informational item. I know we've discussed, or informally discussed, this program, and I thought it was appropriate that maybe we had a little bit more information on that. In your folder is a list of people who have successfully completed the program and graduated. Mr. Vienlon, did you have anything you wanted to add to this?
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't exactly sure. I prepared just a general statement overview or something.
Fantastic.
Read
Yes.
it.
Yeah, please.
Go from there if you have questions. But the Morrison Alternative Learning Options Program, ALOP, provides students who are at risk of academic failure with a broader range of academic, behavioral, and social emotional interventions designed to increase the academic achievement levels of these students so they're able to meet the Illinois learning standards and complete their education in a safe learning environment. ALOP is designed to address individual learning styles, career development, and social emotional services that will enable the students to successfully complete their education. Most commonly, students are recommended to the program via the school counselor. The recommendation is normally received after the student has been discussed on multiple occasions by the student success team, and the interventions discussed do not seem to be making an impact. Generally speaking, the most common reasoning that I've witnessed for entrance into the ALOP program is students that have fallen behind in credits for graduation. This is usually due to social, emotional, and/or behavioral issues, including attendance issues that interfere with student performing to their academic potential in the traditional school setting. Under the guidance and direction of Ms. Tiffany Kao, MHS ALOP program was resurrected in 2017-18 school year. During my 3-year tenure here as principal at MHS, I've witnessed 14 at-risk students graduate. Students that likely would not have made it through the traditional path. Now with computations brought upon all students through the last couple pandemic years, we anticipate the need for the alternative program to grow. Ms. Kao has been instrumental in the initiation and continuation of the ALOP program. Ms. Kao's experience as a special education instructor, along with her background in psychology, have been vital to this program, in that she has the experience of creating individual education plans for her students. This experience goes a long way in providing the proper supports for the ALOP students. She has team taught nearly every high school class throughout her years of service at MHS, allowing her to help with a variety of content-related questions that the students will encounter. She's in frequent and consistent communication with students' parents, guardians, and employers if necessary to keep everyone informed of the student's progress. Most importantly, she has the right temperament to command a challenging classroom such as this. Anyone that's ever met Ms. Kao knows she's no pushover. From that same meeting, it's also easy to see that she cares deeply about her students and at the work she is doing for this program. This past school year, staffing shortages required us to place Ms. Kao back in a larger special education teaching role while minimizing her presence in the ALOC room. At this point, we likely will continue that similar plan to keep the boat afloat for the 22-23 school year. Our long-term desire would be to continue the program with Ms. Kao at the helm full time. Ms. Kao and Ms. Streets, the school counselor, were willing to come in and discuss also kind of their thoughts on the programs as if necessary. We weren't sure as far as what was needed at this time as far as presentation. Ms. Kao gave me a written statement that she prepared that she'd like me to hand to the board members. I can do that at this time or at another time later, and I can suppose open it up and try to answer your questions if necessary.
I have a question. With Ms. Kao being assigned now to reassigned to a different position, how are we going to continue this program?
We're going to try to do it kind of by filling in. I suppose, like I said, this is kind of what we did last year when we had a rearranging of the special education department. We had somebody that came in as an aide, but had capability of a long-term sub, being able to be into that classroom at certain times. While Ms. Kao was in special ed team classes.
Why not hire a, like an aide, somebody with that background?
You have to have a certified teacher.
Okay, but it's supervised by Kao. I mean, I'm just trying to think of some way to, without doing
I think the nature of the program lends itself to having the right teacher in that room.
Okay.
More than simply just kind of a body to keep in place.
And I'm just saying, if you just put, like, I call that Band-Aid. You're just putting a body in there.
Mhm.
But trying to find the right person, it doesn't necessarily, and I'm thinking, if you still have her over it, okay, if she's still gonna be somehow involved, basically, she'd be supervising that person.
Right.
I'm still thinking that could work and be cost effective. And I'm thinking of the long term for the program instead of just thinking, because I know we've been talking about eliminating that program, which I know is a great concern to you, am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so I think we have to find a way if this program is gonna work. And I will tell you, I did go to their graduation this year. So I saw the 5 graduate, and I thought it was pretty impressive. And of course, I didn't know much about the program until I've done a little bit of research since. But if there's something we can do to keep this program going, and also make sure we have the numbers to fill the program, to make it viable.
Right. I believe we will. As I kind of alluded to that, I believe we have 5 returning. They were in the classroom last year. We expect them to return, so at least I'm in there. We've already, in discussions with Ms. Kao and Ms. Streets, looked at anywhere from 6 to 10 of next year's senior class that are behind on credits. That would be options probably coming in August once we have registration and have discussions. There's the intake meeting with parents and with kids, setting up the contract and so forth, so to see them. We have another half dozen of next year's juniors that have already fallen behind as well. So it is a process that I think even just from Morrison standpoint, we can get going or keep. In the years past, prior to COVID, we had students from Erie, students from Port Byron Riverdale district that came in, but we stopped that once we had the COVID and traveling, and we could open up to other schools.
Well, what's the maximum you can have in that class?
I guess that's the tricky point as far as the tipping. If we fill the classroom too much, I think it loses the effectiveness of what we need at that point. So we're kind of looking at a dozen,
okay,
give or take.
That's
At that point is what we look for in that classroom as far as the maximum.
You have to have a disability to be in the class?
No.
So a little background in this. This started several years ago, and the idea was back when general state aid was done in a different manner. It was supposed to be a joint operation between the district and the ROE. The ROE was going to be the umbrella of this, and because they got more general state aid for a program like this than we were going to split that cost. Hence, allowing other districts to come here. We were going to house it. That, for whatever reason, never came to fruition, and the program essentially became ours. And then we were going to make, I don't say make money, we were going to hopefully, because it was an additional teacher, offset that cost with tuition and general state aid. That didn't happen, and we have just, and I was okay with it. I'm not saying this is a totally financial decision. It just, we've absorbed those costs.
Do you know, so the 3 years you've been there, average of a little over 5 students a year, what's it costing us for each of those kids to graduate? Has anybody broken down into that kind of aspect? I mean, how many dollars are we spending to graduate these 5 kids a year?
No, I've not broken down the cost. I guess kind of the question is, what is the cost
Of not.
to graduate one kid? Is it worth?
Well, it's kind of the additional cost.
Yeah.
Because we have the standard program, which we fulfill, you know, and you mentioned, well, for those kids falling behind. And what I hate for this is, oh, you're falling behind. Oh, here's this alternate. Well, the first alternative should be, let's work hard, let's get you not behind, let's,
Right.
you know, and then not just, here's an optional path. Well, let's get you caught up.
Yeah.
You know, it seems that it's a full-time teacher salary, it sounds like. In addition to whatever facilities that are being used. Like Matt, I'd like to know, you know, what's it cost for 5 students per year.
How many special needs students are going without a special needs teacher or a special ed teacher because she's doing this and not helping them?
Well,
And if we had to hire.
I would say none to that question. As far as
Okay.
the special needs, like I said, it's, you know, there's certain areas of her day where she would be at directed studies or something along those lines where her input is still valuable. It'd be very similar to what she's doing in the options classroom, at least what we did last year, where we moved her into the options. She'd teach, Aid would be back into that directed studies, which is a guided study hall. If it's in for the learning and, you know, classroom and the team teaching, that's where I needed my teacher into those classes. So it's you know, we had to do a little bit of a shelving to arrange that schedule to get that work as far as that goes.
These kids, are they in this one class all day long?
Yes, for the most part, yes. There are some exceptions. Like I said, a speech, if they're in need of getting a speech credit, we've got to get them into the traditional speech classroom. They have a PE class where they go and, you know, they use the weight room, walk the track, you know, do anything along those lines as well. And then Ms. Gale, you know, teaches a traditional classroom type of social emotional type of lessons through the day as well. But the good majority of their time is, they are all sequestered into that one classroom through their day. Yes.
They come later and they leave early.
Yep.
They do not have a
What is our
8 to 3 schedule.
What is our dropout rate percentage? I mean, we have our graduation rate.
Right.
So what is it? Do we know?
I don't have that off the top of my head.
Okay. What was last year's?
I guess with all the COVID and so forth, wasn't.
That data is a little skewed right now.
Okay, but I guess what I'm saying is if we're seeing an improvement with our graduation rate because of having this program, I think it sells itself, you know?
So our dropout rate is 4%. Our graduation
7 kids
rate.
that graduated this year, roughly 70 walked the program. That's 10% right there now.
Yes.
Maybe half of these kids that went through the option, could we maybe get them through the traditional? Possibly, that's a hypothetical, who knows?
Well,
But if we're looking at 5 to 10%.
no, and what I'm saying is getting them, I mean, they finished. To me, that's a win.
Right.
That's a big win. You know, and I know the cost, we're talking about the cost, but when you think about your graduation rate, and that really is statewide information, and people, you know, there's some red flags when we start losing those kids before they graduate. And yeah, we can tell them to buckle down and do X, Y, and Z, but sometimes it's more than that.
The impression that this is the easy way out or anything along those lines,
No.
this isn't that. it's not there. Like I said,
No, that's not what I was.
No, I know that's
86.
part of the meetings kind of coming in, hey, we can just make up these credits, boom, boom, boom type of thing. It is tougher, you know, we've learned the online learning is a little bit, it works for some, it doesn't for others, but it's the same way with the traditional, it works for some, not for the others. That's what we're finding out, and so it's multiple meetings through the SST program that we're finding these kids, hey, we're trying these innovations, it didn't work. How about we try something else that didn't work? Is this an option for them to get them through?
So part of the historical of this was it was designed, this was Bob Sondergras, baby, metaphorically speaking, that it wasn't for disciplinary issues, it was for kids who were not succeeding in the traditional classroom and weren't wanting to come to school.
Right.
So this was a option for them then to come in a alternative environment and with the idea that they would then finish.
And these are kids that don't qualify for special ed. I do know that, even though they might have some behavior issues, or I call it attitude issues. But I really believe, by what I saw at graduation, these kids just, I mean, sometimes they just need an option. And this is an option that works for them.
Do you have the protocol? Like, can you share that with me?
Protocol.
Or how they get in? Like, you know how we talk, has it been written down? This is the step, and then, okay, after all these things have been done.
No, it hasn't, but I think
probably-
kind of what we've talked about with the SST.
We
this
probably
morning and
need
so
to
forth,
have that written
It's
down.
that process, just
I
not
think-
formally
I
written
think-
down.
I think what we need to do is I think we need to go back and discuss and maybe review and revamp what this is, so we have that down on paper. So you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it's not willy-nilly, if you will, and revisit because this is nowhere near what it started out as. And I'm not saying that's bad, I'm just saying this started out as one thing and now it's another thing. And if we're going to continue this, we probably need to revamp it to fit our needs as opposed to what it started out as to fit the bike or ROE needs. Not saying that's where we're at, but yes, with the SST discussion and things like that, this should be a part of that process too.
I also think too, keeping it in Morrison and not,
Yeah.
for providing the teacher and the space, making sure it's, Morrison students.
And with that, then, if we're talking about teacher in space, we got the budget, the cost is, we have to know that.
Yep.
We struggle that as we look through their budgets going forward and make sure we're doing the best for everybody in the school system.
Anything else, Ms. Grillo?
No,
Thanks,
thank
Cory.
you.
All right, speaking of budgets, item F, FY22 amended budget. The motion is that the Board of Education approves the amended FY22 budget as presented.
Can you pull that up on the board?
Yeah, the last one.
It's misordered. Is it not in your package?
No, it is.
It is.
I just want to make sure, so on line 22, that's the total.
Yeah, all right, so this line 22 is either extra money or shortage. Anything in red is shortage.
Yeah.
So, plug your ears. We actually have more money this year than we spent, which is the first time in a long, long time that that's happened.
Okay, so I added these numbers up. Sorry, the
Okay.
math out of me, unless I messed up, I thought it was a negative $189,000.
This one right here,
Line 22,
or where are you
the
talking?
combination of everything in 22, the 144
So,
minus 204 plus
well,
35.
it populates automatically, so I can double check that, but when we put this into the state spreadsheet, it's supposed to populate.
Well, I'm just saying if you take all the numbers on line 22 and you add them together.
Is it missing? I'm wondering, hold on. Did it get cut off?
What, one of the lines?
There should be another line that got cut off. It should be a total. Let me see.
There should be something after K? Is that what you're
I
saying?
think so, yes. It's a big form, I'm like.
Well, I
Um,
don't believe it ever is. Well,
No,
maybe
it's not.
I don't believe it's ever total.
I thought it was. So you're thinking if you add in assets and debit or credits and
Yeah,
debits?
if you just go along this line,
It comes up with a negative 189.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, but this is this way because we got the money years ago and are just now expending it. So when we look at this, we look at educate 10, 20, and 40 as the three biggest funds. And historically, those are always in a negative. They're always a negative. This is the first time that other than operations and maintenance, and we've talked about that, we had to move money for that, that these have been positive. Now, they're not positive by much in a $14 million budget, but they're still positive.
the way I think about it, Dustin, is this is the operating money, those three.
Okay.
The rest of them, this you can't count every time, like he said, because you might get it in one year and spend it the next, and so it looks like it's a negative, but
Well,
it's,
it's a negative
You know
for
what I
this year,
mean?
for this year. That doesn't mean that's gonna be the trend.
It's because you haven't got the money yet.
Yes, it's a negative 188,870.
Yeah.
Is that-
you're right.
That's around 20.
Yeah, looking at it that way, absolutely. But I just always look at these three because like Scott said, that's your operation, except for operation and maintenance, which is always a shortfall, because of the way the state.
I'm just, as presented,
Yeah.
the budget is
Yes.
a negative 189,000.
Yes, right.
But
And that just, as we need to keep, as a board, we need to keep that in mind. I'm not saying this is a bad budget,
Right.
but we can't continue to have a negative budget year after year after year. It's got to be balanced. We have to seek to balance that.
Well, and I think also the budget looks a little bit better this year because of COVID monies. I mean,
Well,
that's part of it,
that was gonna be my next thing. When you
so,
look at the budget for next year, how comfortable are we on the revenue side with the federal money? Because that's been an issue over the last couple of years where there's been the federal money come in. We've got a pretty good feel of state aid and we've got a pretty good feel of local sources and so on, but the feds, at times has been a very small number, but then over the past couple of years, that's been, so it'll be interesting to see what they continue to do.
I would just.
what?
When I
If
look,
you're talking about balancing a budget, that's a very serious discussion to have because the only way to do that in today's day and age is to cut staff.
Yes, I know.
80%, 90% of our operating expense is salaries and benefits. So if that's the direction that the board intends to go, we
No.
can certainly do that. It's doable. It is very doable. Sterling has done it, but Sterling has done it by making deep cuts. So in regards to that, yes, we need to be cognizant of a negative budget. And when we start talking about next year's budget at our finance meeting next month, we will be coming up with goals for the board in terms of where we want to go from a financial standpoint. That has been missing for various reasons, but that is one of my goals for the next school year is to long-term financial goals for the district. Because yes, we have gotten a windfall from the federal government, which is usually the smallest area of revenue that we get from the three areas, which would be state, local, and federal. Local is the biggest, state and then federal. But it's kind of tipped upside down with COVID, and that's not gonna last forever. So as we move forward from this year, that is something that we do need to keep in mind for future years, as was mentioned earlier.
That's what I got in
No, it's good.
All right.
But the positive, yet even though it is a overall negative budget, this is the first time in a long time we haven't had to spend reserve money out of our ed fund.
Yeah.
So that's something to be celebrated, or at least
Acknowledged.
acknowledged. Thank you very much. That's a much better word. Thank you.
And we just need to be good stewards of the money the district has. I don't want to cut staff. I mean, I'll make that 100% clear. But I also don't want to be spending money that unless it's the right thing to spend money.
Sure. That's a very good stance to take as a board member. No, that's perfectly fine. Other questions or comments? All right, with that being said, Luann, would you please take a roll call vote for amended budget?
So moved.
Second.
We had all that discussion?
No, we had a lot of discussion, but.
All right, we have a first and a second. Roll call, please.
Van Plant,
Yes.
Witt.
Yep.
Helms. Yes. Stevenson.
Yes.
Lucky.
Yes.
Wilkins.
Yes.
Ridley.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. We need to circle back. I believe we've had a lot of positive discussion tonight, but in the course of our positive discussion, we did not approve the consent agenda. So
Oh,
we did have a motion, correct?
No.
I need a motion to go back to item 6, consent agenda, to approve the consent agenda as presented.
so moved. Second.
Any discussion?
Any more discussion?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving ahead. New business. This is an informational item, a discussion item. We got an email from Llewellyn Lee, the Morrison Booster Club. Andy Baronic has volunteered to paint the football scoreboard. I'm okay with it. Mr. Bill is okay with it. Mr. Bowen's okay with it. Any concern from the board? He's going to donate his time to do that. So.
Using a ladder?
All right, so we will go ahead and we will let Mr. Baronic know that that's much appreciated, and
It is.
go ahead, find time.
And I mean, we talk about social media. If we can thank him publicly,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
let's do that.
Absolutely.
that would be great.
So we will certainly do that. Thank you. Item B, football uniform purchase. This is an action item. The motion is the Board of Education approves the purchase of 53 uniform sets for the Morrison High School football team for the cost of $7,085.
Unbelievable. I went on their website today just because I had to.
Let's do motion first.
Okay.
Motion first.
So moved.
Second.
I had to, because the price
Well, it's,
is so good. So, all right. Anyway.
We're kind of someone who's not buying gold-laced uniforms anymore. All right, I have a first and a second. Any more discussion? All those, let's do a roll call, please.
Roll call.
Witt.
Yep.
Helms. Yes. Stevenson.
Yes.
Lucky.
Yes.
Wilkins.
yes.
Stanley.
Yes.
Ridley.
Yes.
All right, item C is a discussion item, and this is just informational at this time. We discussed, or it was brought to my attention that we have multiple coaches at the junior high for each grade level. So we have a 7th grade coach and 8th grade coach, but for 5th and 6th grade, we have one coach for our girls volleyball, girls basketball, and boys basketball. And Mrs. Dricky, who's here, can attest that 5th grade year,
Oh my
we get a avalanche of kids coming out, 30 to 40 kids. So I reached out to Mrs. Conley with the MEA about doing an MOU for adding a second paid coach for 5th and 6th grade. Is there any concern?
What
Wait a minute,
sports?
what, we just 2? What about 3?
I would start with 2 and then see where we're at with that. For boys basketball, girls basketball, and volleyball. So we would add 3 additional coaches.
Are they all at the same time?
No.
They,
No,
no,
volleyball's in the fall, girls volleyball first, then boys basketball, then girls basketball
Okay.
after the break.
Okay.
No.
Would they still be playing together as
Yes.
a combined team?
yes, we just have a second set of eyes there.
Isn't that an extra?
Oh, okay.
There's a point to it.
Yeah, we had, 40 girls out for volleyball this year.
36.
Oh, my goodness.
Mhm. And luckily, Mrs. Durkee and
Shaver.
Mrs. Shaver jumped in to help else. Mrs. Crumble would have been on her own with 35.
Oh, my
And the hard part is, these are some of these
Never
girls and boys who never picked up a
Yeah,
volleyball,
they-
never picked up a
they're
basketball,
learning.
so
Oh,
we're
wow.
trying from scratch to,
Fundamentals.
So if there's no concern, Mrs. Conley and I will draft an MOU and we'll bring that to the board for approval.
Good idea.
All right, our next several ones are long, so I will go with them as quickly as possible. Let's do them all at once.
Okay.
Is that okay with everybody? So I'll read them
Mhm.
and we'll just,
Yeah.
all right, so we're gonna do, first motion is the Board of Education approves the hiring of Sean Ford as a social studies teacher at Morrison High School at the BA Year 2 step. Second motion is the Board of Education approves hiring Sabrina Mundo as a certified special ed teacher at Morrison Junior High School at the BA Year 5 step. Third motion is the Board of Education approves the hiring of Aaron Morris,
Yeah.
stupid autocorrect, as certified vocal music teacher at Morrison High School and Morrison Junior High at the BA Year 4 step. Motion is the Board of Education approves the hiring of Kim Snyder as a certified English language arts teacher at Morrison High School at the BA 16 Year 7 step. And the motion is the Board of Education approves hiring of Chelsea Stewart as a certified teacher at Southside Elementary at the MA Year 9 step. You heard the motions. Do I need a first and a second?
So moved first.
Second, any discussion? Let's do a roll call, please.
Helms,
Yes.
Ableton,
Yes.
Lucky,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Stanhoff,
Yes.
Whit.
Yep.
Ridley.
Yes.
All right. Item E, extracurricular staffing, action item. The motion is the Board of Education approves the resignation of Andy Riggin as Morrison High School trap shooting coach effective June 30th, 2022. The motion is the Board of Education approves the resignation of Katie Rodriguez as Morrison High School cheer sponsor effective August 1, 2022. The motion is the Board of Education approves the following individuals as paid coaches at Morrison High School and Morrison Junior High School for the 22-23 school year. Jill DeRicky, 8th grade volleyball, Tori Eads, 7th grade volleyball, Sean Ford, assistant football and fresh soft baseball, Kim Snyder, varsity softball, Sean Swing, varsity baseball, and Nathan Vandermeide, assistant football. The motion is Board of Education approves the following individuals to continue as paid coaches at Morrison High School for the 22-23 school year. Steve Snyder, varsity football, Nathan Anderson, assistant football, Danny Willis, assistant football, Kelly Holland, assistant volleyball, Chelsea Brewer, girls swimming, Chad Brackenmeyer, cross country, Tom Frank, golf, Carrie Grimm, varsity girls basketball, Todd Belchop, fresh soft girls basketball, Tom Rosopoulos, varsity wrestling, and Julia Dieter, head girls track. And finally, the motion is the Board of Education approves Mason Sitzmore as a volunteer football coach at Morrison High School for the 22-23 school year. You've heard the motion. Do I have a first?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? You okay with everything? You're looking at me funny.
Do we have volleyball on?
We already did it. We did it last month. Hearing none, Luann, would you please take roll?
Ableton,
Yes.
Lucky,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Stanhoff,
Yes.
Whit.
Yep.
Helms,
Yes.
Ridley.
Yes.
All right, item F, Southside Principal. The motion is the Board of Education approves the contract with Lisa Toledas to serve as principal of Southside Elementary for the 22-23 school year as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? I'm
Excited to hear.
super excited.
Yeah, we all are.
So,
Yeah.
All right, hearing none, please take roll.
Stanhoff,
Yes.
Whit.
Yep.
Helms,
Yes.
Ableton,
Yes.
Lucky,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Ridley.
Yes.
Item G, administrative contracts for the 22-23 school year. Motion is the Board of Education approves the contract with Mr. Corey Bielman to serve as principal of Morrison High School as presented. Motion is the Board of Education. Let's do these individually.
Cut Joe's, huh? Or just cut Joe's, huh?
You can abstain from all.
Okay. All right.
The motion is the Board of Education approves the contract with Mr. Joe Robbins to serve as principal of Morrison Junior High as presented. And the motion is the Board of Education approves the contract with Mr. Andy Harris to serve as principal of Northside Elementary as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Whit.
Yep.
Helms,
Yes.
Ableton,
Yes.
Lucky,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Stanhoff,
Yes.
Ridley.
Abstain.
All right. Item H, Director Supervisor contract for FY23. The motion is the Board of Education approves the contract with Benel Chris to serve as District Food Service Director as presented. The motion is the Board of Education approves the contract with Kyla Hansen to serve as District Fiscal Director as presented. The motion is the Board of Education approves the contract with John Husenfeld to serve as District Facility Director as presented. And the amended motion is the Board of Education approves the contract with Dwayne Schaefer to serve as District Technology Director as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Lucky,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Stanhoff,
Yes.
Witt.
Yep.
Helms,
Yes.
Pielson,
Yes.
Ridley.
Yes.
I am going to recommend that we table item I. We need to discuss that. And we need to do that in closed session. Deals directly with an individual. Nothing bad, I just want to make some clarification. So, since we're tabling letter I would take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Make sure that, coach lists that they're gonna go on.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody. I am